The marble floor of the courthouse was too clean, like it mocked the mess of my life. The echo of my heels sounded louder than the gavel that had slammed minutes earlier. My fingers trembled around the custody papers, ink smudged beneath desperate hands. I could still hear the words that shattered me. Primary custody remains with Mr. Costa until financial stability is proven. Christian had smiled when he walked past me. That serpentine grin, the same one he wore when he used to lie about business trips that were never business. My ex-husband, gambler and thief. And now, somehow, the system pitied him. I stumbled out of the building, rain biting into my skin. The sky bled gray over Palermo. I pressed my back against a pillar, clutching my purse, my chest hollow. I had 100 euros to my name, a job that had just vanished with the cafe's closing, and a daughter sleeping at my mother's apartment, asking every night, "When is Papa done being mad at you?" He wasn't mad, he was dangerous, and his debts weren't paid. That night, the threat came like a shadow from another life. Amelia Russo? The man had a voice like gravel soaked in whiskey. I turned to find him in the rain, dressed in a black coat, his expression unreadable. I blinked against the water. Do I know you?" He didn't answer. Instead, he handed me an envelope. No name, no return address, only a single phrase inside. "You should have chosen better who to love." A dark car idled by the curb. Engines purred. Men moved inside, faces half-lit by cigarette embers. My pulse raced. I crumpled the note, fear clawing up my throat. I didn't need to guess who sent it. Christian's mess had found me. I ran, heels slipping on wet pavement until headlights flooded the street, blinding me. The car stopped. A man stepped out first, broad shoulders beneath a tailored suit, black gloves tight over long fingers. His presence made the air around him colder, weightier. He didn't need to speak for me to know people obeyed him. The rain seemed to avoid him. His voice was measured, calm in a way that felt more dangerous than shouting. "Signora Russo." I froze. "Do I know you?" "No." His gaze traced me, assessing. "But your husband owed me 4 million euros, and now he's disappeared. Ice cut through my panic. You think I have it." "I think you're in danger because of him," he said quietly. "And by tomorrow morning, every man he crossed will know where you live." Something in the way he said it factual, not cruel, made my stomach twist. "Who are you?" He took a step closer. "Dante Vitale." The name dropped into the silence like a stone through glass. I'd heard the whispers. Vitale, the strategist behind half the deals in the city's underworld. Calculation was his signature. Emotion was his enemy. Why tell me this?" His eyes were unreadable steel. "Because I don't like loose ends. And you, Amelia Russo, are one." I swallowed. "So what? You're here to finish me off?" The corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile, but dangerous enough. "If I wanted you dead, you wouldn't be asking questions." He gestured toward the car. "Get in, I'll explain on the way." Every instinct screamed to run. But behind me, the city was a maze of debt collectors and invisible guns. Ahead, a stranger whose name made men disappear. "What happens if I don't?" Dante's gaze didn't waver. "Then you'll die before sunrise." The car interior smelled of leather and smoke. I sat rigid, silent. Dante didn't speak for several blocks, hands resting on the steering wheel, with practiced calm. His driver, a man built like a stone wall, glanced at me once in the mirror. Luca, I would later learn. Finally, Dante said, "Christian worked for a casino laundering ring until he got ambitious. He stole from me, then disappeared. Now half the city thinks I helped him." "That's not my problem," I whispered. He looked at me, then truly looked. "It is if they use you to find him." I squeezed my trembling hands together. "I just want my daughter safe. Then you'll listen." I turned toward him, frustration bleeding into defiance. "Why should I trust a man like you?" He didn't flinch. "You shouldn't." The honesty caught me off guard. He leaned closer, his voice low. "But you don't have another option." We reached a gated compound at the edge of the city. Iron gates, guarded, cameras tracking movement. As the car halted, Dante turned to me. His expression hadn't softened, but something in his tone shifted less command, more calculation. You'll stay here until I decide the situation is stable. My men will protect you and the child. I can't. My daughter's with my mother. I'll handle it, he interrupted with unnerving calm. Luca will fetch her. You stay put. Anger flashed through my fear. You think you can give orders, just like that? He leaned closer, eyes sharp as glass. That's exactly what I think, Signora Russo. Because out there, you're a target. And here, you're under my protection. His gaze held something deeper than threat, something calculated, restrained, buried under years of control. The rain outside beat harder as if punctuating his silence. Then, quieter. You can walk away now, and they'll find you before morning. Or you can accept my protection and my rules, a choice that wasn't a choice at all. I stared at the towering gates, the armed men, the black sky pressing down. Then I met his eyes, the cold strategist who'd somehow spoken like he already knew how this story would end. My voice came out barely a whisper. What are your rules? His reply was simple, final: obedience, silence, and trust if you can manage it. The gate clicked open behind him. And just like that, my fall began. The mansion didn't breathe. It watched. Marble and silence. Those were the first two things I noticed when Dante Vitale locked me inside his world. His estate sat on the cliffs outside Palermo, surrounded by pine trees and guarded steel. On my first morning there, sunlight filtered through gold curtains so heavy they felt sinful. Everything smelled of expensive cologne and polished iron. Luca brought my daughter Sophia home an hour later. She ran into my arms, still sleepy, gnawing on her stuffed rabbit. The relief nearly broke me in half. I sank to my knees, burying my face in her hair, whispering promises I wasn't sure I could keep. Dante stood a few meters away, watching. No expression. Just the faintest nod when Sophia clung to me. She will be safe here, he said. Safe. It sounded foreign, coming from a man like him. Rules and warnings. By noon, I had a list. No phone calls except those cleared by Luca or Dante. No leaving the property without an escort. No questions about business. I signed it out of exhaustion more than agreement. When Luca handed me a keycard for my own set of rooms, he offered what might have been sympathy. He's not a bad man, Signora, just careful. Careful. I almost laughed. That's one word for walls with cameras. He didn't deny it. A life in silk chains. The mansion was a paradox luxury designed to suffocate. My room overlooked the sea, a view meant to inspire freedom, yet bulletproof glass stared back. Food arrived with precision. Clothes appeared in wardrobes I hadn't opened. Sophia painted in the sunroom under the watch of a bodyguard who could shoot a man at 50 meters but looked endearingly lost when she offered him glitter glue. I, meanwhile, burned with humiliation. Protected, yes, but caged. On my third day, Dante appeared in the hall without warning. He didn't knock. He never did. I need to know what you plan to do, he said. I turned furious. Do? I'm your prisoner. He didn't rise to the bait. You're under protection, not arrest, but I won't keep you if you don't intend to survive. That hit harder than I expected. You think I don't care about surviving? No, he said quietly. I think you haven't decided what you're living for. Something twisted in me, half anger, half recognition. Shards of his humanity days bled into nights. I rarely saw Dante eat, rest, or lose composure. His life was schedules and coded messages, men coming and going with briefcases and quiet urgency. And yet once, I caught a glimpse. It was near midnight. I'd crept into the library, desperate just to sit somewhere that didn't smell like fear. He was zipped sleeves rolled to his forearms, scars cutting pale tracks against tan skin. He stood over a desk covered in maps and photographs. When he noticed me, he didn't bark or order me out. He just exhaled slowly. "Can't sleep." I almost said no, but something in his tone wasn't condescending. Just human. "Nightmares," I admitted. "Christian. The threats. All of it." He looked up then, the ice in his eyes thawing for one impossible second. "They won't get near you again." "I don't believe in promises anymore," I said. He nodded, almost a whisper. "Neither do I." That was the first crack I saw in the armor. Friction and fire tension grew in the spaces between us. Arguments sparked like static whenever we crossed paths. I hated his rules. His calm authority. The way he could silence a room with one word, but I hated myself more for noticing the quiet moments. His hand steadying Sophia as she climbed stairs, the way he always faced the windows first, scanning for danger before entering. Once, when I lost control and shouted, "You think controlling me makes you safe?" He didn't shout back. He stepped close, voice low, dangerous in its restraint. "No, Amelia, I think controlling you keeps you alive." And when his hand brushed my wrist by accident, or maybe not, my heartbeat betrayed me. The threat returns. One evening, Luca intercepted a courier at the main gate. Inside the package, a child's shoe identical to Sophia's, soaked in red paint, and a note reading, "Still looking for her father." I dropped the letter. My knees gave out. Before I could even process, Dante was there, commanding men, barking orders, his calm replaced by something savage. He turned to me, eyes like storms. "You don't leave your room, you don't open a window, not until I say." Sophia was already in tears, clutching my leg. "Dante who?" He cut me off. "Someone inside sold information." "What?" His jaw tightened. "One of mine. And I'll find who." That night, the mansion roared with motion men sweeping corridors, radios crackling, engines revving. I sat with Sophia in silence, rocking her as her little body shook. Near dawn, Dante knocked once before entering, still in the same clothes, eyes bloodshot but steady. "It's contained," he said. I wanted to scream, to ask what does contained mean, but his exhaustion silenced me. "Whoever betrayed you." He nodded once. "Gone." A shiver ran down my spine. There was no satisfaction in his certainty, only weariness. He looked at me as if expecting disgust. Instead, I whispered, "Thank you." He stared for a long moment, expression unreadable. Then, quietly, "Don't thank me, Amelia. I protect what's mine until the threat is gone." That's all. But I heard what he didn't say. Something had shifted. I was no longer just a responsibility in his ledger. End of the calm. A week later, the calm shattered. Alarms rang through the compound at dawn, sharp, metallic, heart-piercing. I ran to Sophia's room just as Luca burst through the corridor. "Car in the service drive. Armed," Dante's voice cut through the radio. "Seal the east gate. Get them to the safe room. Now." Luca grabbed my arm, but the sound of gunfire froze me. 3 shots close, then silence. When the world stilled, Dante appeared, a streak of blood across his temple, not his, I hoped. His eyes met mine. Inside. Now. Now. I didn't argue. As the door locked behind us and Sophia whimpered in my arms, realization hit. No matter how much gold or glass surrounded us, we weren't safe. Not while Christian's sins still echoed, and maybe not while Dante Vitale kept pretending he didn't care what happened to me. The smell of gunpowder clung to the walls like a warning. Hours after the attack, the house pulsed with tension. Guards whispered through earpieces. Surveillance screens flickered in shades of gray. Dante's empire bent but didn't break because he wouldn't allow it. Sophia slept in my lap in the safe room, her small hand clutching my scarf. My own hand shook so badly I pressed them against the cold metal table just to stop trembling. When the door hissed open, Dante stepped in, first tie gone, shirt streaked with grime and blood. A halo of fatigue surrounded him, But his eyes, those impossible gray eyes, still burned. "It's over," he said flatly. I studied him in the half-light. "Over?" He hesitated. "For now." One of Castellano's men broke into the service wing. He said Christian sold your location for cash, then vanished again. The room tilted. I held Sophia tighter. "He sold us?" Dante nodded. His tone didn't change, but pain edged its precision. "He wanted leverage. He thought I would trade my operations for you." My voice cracked. "Why would he think you'd care that much?" His gaze locked onto mine, unreadable. "Because I do." The words hung in the air, weighty and unplanned. For a man who calculated everything, they shattered something sacred. I didn't speak. Couldn't. But part of me starved for safety, aching for peace, believed him. The choice. At sunrise, he called a meeting in the library. Maps sprawled across the oak table. Firearms sat alongside steaming cups of espresso. Luca stood guard by the door. "We intercepted another message," Dante said, sliding a photo toward me. It showed the edge of my mother's apartment block. The implication froze my breath. "They'll go after her next," I whispered. "After?" He nodded. "We can relocate her under my protection, but that means you and the child move with her. Out of Italy, somewhere safe. You'll disappear." I swallowed hard. "And you?" His jaw flexed. "I stay." The words cut deeper than I expected. "So that's it? You fix things, then send us off like baggage?" He exhaled slowly, forcing control. "Amelia, if you stay, they'll use you against me. If you go, you live. How long until you stop pretending this is only business?" The question came before I thought it. He stilled, then walked closer, stopping inches from me. "This was never business," he said quietly, "but my world kills what it touches. I'd rather lose you than see that happen." Tears stoned my eyes, unwanted. What if I don't want to run anymore? He shook his head, harsh in his restraint. "Don't confuse gratitude for survival with choice." But he was wrong, because choice was all I had left. The fire that night, while the compound slept, explosions ripped through the rear gardens. Screams followed. Luca's shout echoed down the halls. They breached the gate. I grabbed Sophia and bolted from our room. Smoke filled the corridor. Men in black masks stormed the entryway. One spotted us, raised his gun, and Dante appeared from the smoke, faster, fiercer, silent. One shot. The man fell. He grabbed my wrist. "Safe room, now!" Sophia clung to me, crying as we ran. Alarms wailed. The world tilted sideways. In the chaos, I saw something Dante hadn't, another gunman behind him, aiming. Without thinking, I turned, threw myself between them. The shot tore through the air, grazing my shoulder before Dante's second bullet ended it. "Amelia!" His voice cracked. He caught me before I hit the ground, pressing his hand to my wound. "Why? Why would you do that?" I couldn't stop shaking. "Because I'm tired of being saved and never belonging anywhere." His expression, for once, broke wide open fear, anger, disbelief. "You're bleeding out because of me." "No," I whispered. "Because of me choosing." He pressed his forehead to mine, voice barely audible over the chaos. "You're safe because of it." A dawn and ash. By morning, the attackers were gone. The estate stood blackened, smoke curling from the east wing. Sophia slept on a couch beneath Luca's watch, thumb in her mouth, unaware of the world's violence. I sat on the terrace, shoulder bandaged. Dante joined me, jacket thrown over my lap for warmth. For once he looked mortal, hair disheveled, hands trembling. "This place isn't safe anymore," he said. "No places are," I answered. He gave a slight, sad smile. "You should leave while there's a chance. I can keep you off every grid, every ledger. You and Sophia could start over." I turned toward him. "You keep saying I should run. Maybe you don't understand. I don't want to. His jaw tightened. You don't know what comes with me. I've seen enough, I said quietly. And what I see is a man who hides behind control because it hurts less than feeling. His composure faltered. Something raw flickered behind his eyes. You shouldn't trust me. I don't, I admitted. But I believe you. For a long while, we sat in silence while the sea battered the cliffs below. Finally, he said, if you stay, I'll never let them near you again. But that means you live by my rules, even when they're selfish. And if I go? He met my gaze, the strategist stripped bare. Then, I swear I'll protect you from afar, even if you never know it. I reached for his hand-scarred knuckles' steady pulse. Maybe safety isn't what I need anymore, Dante. Maybe I just need something real. He didn't answer with words. He simply closed his hand around mine, like a promise made of frailty and fire. The ending that was never planned later. When Sophia woke and called for breakfast, I rose to follow her. Dante stopped me with a single line. I told Luca once, he said softly. She was never part of the plan. I turned. And now? His gaze broke into something almost gentle. Now I think you're the ending I didn't know I was headed toward. The dawn poured gold over his ruined mansion, catching the smoke like halos. For the first time, I believed it might not all burn forever. We were battered, uncertain, half-healed but alive. And for now, that was enough. Palermo looked softer in spring sunlight. Though I knew the city never truly forgot. 3 months later, we lived in a smaller villa along the coast, fewer guards, fewer secrets. Sophia went to school again, leaving finger-painted suns across the kitchen walls. The world outside still whispered Dante Vitale's name. But here, he was just Dante. He still kept his phone close, his habits precise. Yet when Sophia tugged his sleeve and said, "Papa, look," he actually did. He looked. Sometimes at night, I'd catch him watching the sea, the strategist lost in thoughts he'd never speak aloud. When I asked what haunted him, he only said, "Plans change." And when I pressed my hand over his, he didn't pull away. Our peace wasn't perfect. It wasn't safe. But it was real. And for two people who'd lived in shadows, that felt like forever.